Welcome to The Final Edit, a podcast brought to you by Maison, a private network for 7 to 9 figure female founders where women redefine success, legacy, and influence.
We're your hosts, Maritza and Hannah Nieves. We're co-founders, mothers, and builders behind a billion-dollar vision.
These conversations are with leading founders who are shaping the industry and the future as they build it.
Welcome to The Final Edit.
Welcome back to another episode of The Final Edit. This episode I am so pumped for because we are talking about AI and we are sharing our AI tech stack with all of you. And as of the time of this recording, Claude Cowork is all the rage. I would say Claude in general. So I'm sure that you have heard it or you have read something about Claude and how it's transforming everybody's lives. It is true, and we're going to talk about that. And so I think the question that we keep hearing from all of you, as well as the women in Maison, it's no longer should I be using AI? Like that ship has sailed, okay? We all know that AI is absolutely inevitable. And so right now it's more like, okay, but what do I do with AI? What can I hand off to AI? What's actually worth my time to figure out? And so for this episode, Hannah and I are just going to talk to you very candidly, as we always do, about what we are actually using AI for and what has really transformed our own day-to-day work thanks to AI.
So, love to kind of kick off with how are you using AI on the day-to-day?
You guys, Claude has absolutely taken over my life. Like there's no shame from me when I say that. And it's honestly the best thing that I could have done. I think a lot of you know me as an AI educator. I am a big AI advocate. I love when women come to me to talk about AI and how they can create their own products. And so big fan over here. Where I had personally failed with AI was in not taking the time sooner to really figure out what it would look like to fire myself from my own company. And I say that genuinely. And it wasn't like the cue, okay, well, like what are these like little things that AI can do for me? And it was more about, what is that 20% that absolutely requires my focus and dedication? And then what else in what the capabilities of AI today could AI come in and take over in my role so that I could just go ham on that 20%. Okay. And so finally, I made the jump from ChatGPT to Claude because Claude's capabilities right now, again, as of the time of this episode, just far exceeds ChatGPT because Claude can actually take actions on your behalf and you can fully automate a lot of your tasks and day-to-day with Claude. And so I have had it audit my entire, again, workflow, my existence, what needs my attention. And then I've created a bunch of different AI agents and things now that operate on their own and they are taking over my job. And it's the greatest thing.
Can we talk a little bit about how we did this for me? Because this has been like the conversation with so many of our members, and I've gotten so many DMs after I shared the story of the report that you created. So like walk us through what that looked like.
So in a practical sense, the best thing that you could ever do with AI is give it your own knowledge and information about you. Do not get caught up on a prompt this, a prompt that, and all of that stuff because it's not going to work as well as if you are working off of your own intelligence, right? And so I had Hannah basically record a Zoom walking me through everything that she is doing in her day-to-day and where the friction points are. Where is she getting stuck? What are her bottlenecks? What does she wish existed? All of that stuff, like who would be her next hire, et cetera, et cetera. Then I took that along with about 3 years worth of historical data of hers from different tools that we leverage in the company that know her workflows, that know her to-do list, our Slack, things like that. And then I fed all of that into Claude. And I, along with Claude, worked on a report, an audit, which ended up being about 20 something pages so that we could assess where Hannah could replace herself with the technology that exists right now, primarily focusing on things that Claude could do immediately, right? Because if you just leave it broad, as in okay, what can AI do? You're going to start getting recommendations for a bunch of different tools. But I was after, what can Claude do for Hannah right now? And we discovered that there was about 15 AI employees that we could build for her to take over her day-to-day job.
So basically, I've been doing 15 jobs.
She
for the
absolutely
last 2 years.
has, as aren't we all?
That was
Founder
so
life.
wild. But I think also one thing I want to call out is that with the data that you put in, but also the report itself, it is going to take time to build. Like I think it was upward of like 60 hours that it's going to take us to actually build this support system.
No, it's going to save you
save me
60 hours,
Yes,
but it could take up to 30 hours.
Oh, 30 hours to build. But what I think is really interesting too is that for me, like in my role in the business, I manage events, partnerships,
brand,
programming, brand, PR. And so historically, those were things that are very manual, like, I mean, you hear me come to you all the time about the events. I'm like, my goodness, there's so many emails. But, I think what's really interesting is just even seeing what's possible. I was already like, oh my God, like this is going to save me so much time. So that way I can actually focus on like the needle moving conversations that are going to drive the brand forward. So I think that was really, really powerful.
Yeah. And so you keep talking and I'm going to try to pull up this report so that we can actually share what those 15 AI employees are, because I can't remember them all by heart. But I think that it'll also be super beneficial for you all just to hear what some of them are, to give you just ideas of what AI could do. I know that one of them, and we're already like this, I already deployed this. I think this was literally the first AI agent that I built for myself, where it's looking at anything that I'm tagged in inside of ClickUp, any emails that are to my attention, and also any communication that's coming in through Slack. And it's taking all of that to then let me know what my focuses and priorities are for the week. And so we took that a step further, and it is now completing our weekly status report, which is a meeting that we have with our entire team. And it's filling out my section for me. And then it's also keeping me informed of progress on my day-to-day. And so that alone, I mean, I would need to take, Hannah loves to do this on a Sunday. But Sundays, I just cannot bring my brain to do absolutely anything except for veg out on the couch. So to all my lazy girls, if you feel me, hit me up. But Hannah, she loves a Sunday prep day, and she would prep for like 2 to 3 hours. And for me, that was my Monday morning. So Monday morning, right when I like get to my desk, right, I'm like prepping for the week. I just show up, guys. I literally just show up. My week is prepped for. Okay, I feel like I have nothing to do except but to actually think about, okay, how can I now have space to continue to drive my business forward? So anyways, I found that report. So let me just tell you, okay, so let me tell you what I feel are the top 3 AI employees that she's going to have. So one is completely focused on member experience. And that agent is going to be automatically doing work across ClickUp, Google Calendar, Gmail, Slack, and Stripe. Okay. And then another one is her partnership pipeline employee. And so that agent is going to be working across Apollo, which is the tool that we use for partnership outreach, Gmail, Slack, Google Drive, and ClickUp. and it's going to be that one is going to be saving her 6 hours a week, which is absolutely crazy. And then another one is tied to it's her event planning engine, and that one is going to be working across ClickUp, Google Calendar, Slack, Gmail, and Canva, saving her roughly about 8 hours a week. Okay, so this is huge, huge, huge. And those are like the 3 ones based on the areas that she, based on that conversation that she recorded on Zoom, walking me through all of her workflows, et cetera, et cetera. And again, this could look totally different for you depending on what your business is and what your focuses are in your company, but it's worth the time. Trust me.
And I, first off, so excited for this to get built. Okay. I'd love to just spend a little bit of time talking about, in Maison, when it comes to AI, a lot of women are using it for their own marketing, right? And their own content. And for a lot of our Maison women, like they're not content creators. I would say majority are not content creators. But a majority are wanting to build their own personal brand. They want visibility. They want thought leadership. And so what's interesting that I want to share on here is that previously, before starting Maison, I had a PR agency and I was helping people do this, which is amazing. But we have figured out a way with Claude to actually replace what my agency and all the 59 million tools that are out there for PR do for you. And so that's something that I'm really excited about when it comes to AI specifically, is how we can like solve that pain point, like for free. For free. I think that's like the biggest thing. Like there's so many resources out there. And in Maison, like we have our tool, we have our databases, and we also do a lot of like manual matching to influence opportunities for these women, which is really great. But when it comes to the thought leadership aspect of it, and also the execution of the outbound outreach, like I feel like we've just like hit the jackpot with like how we are designing this as a free tool. So can you like walk through like, I don't know, anything that would be helpful for the audience as we're thinking about this?
Yeah. And so I just remember 3 years ago, no, almost 4 years ago now at this point, when I first came to you with this, Hannah, ChatGPT is going to change the world. Remember? And I was like, I need you to trust me because it's going to take over your job, literally. And I already had in my mind all the ways that Hannah could replace the work that she was doing in her PR agency 4 years ago. And that was when AI was at its worst. Like it could not even do things autonomously like it does today with Claude Cowork. And so now that has been 10x, okay? And just exactly like she said, things that we are leveraging this for is finding, sources, finding the right contacts, helping to generate pitches, based on all the different like expertise and things like that. It honestly like could do anything at this point. And so I think on that note, because I know sometimes when I start talking about AI, people like look at me scared because they're like, okay, she literally lets AI like do everything for her. But there are very much things that, we do not let AI touch. And so what are your, where's like your stake in the ground, and where do you draw that line when it comes to what you allow AI to do versus what you want nothing to do with when it comes to AI?
And, we have our own platform that we built. And what I think that I am really excited about as we continue to advance it is how we can leverage the intelligence of our platform to support our members better. And what I don't allow it to do is like those one-on-one interactions. I think we're always going to have that one-to-one conversation with our members, that in-person experience. People are craving that, but also in Maison, it's really critical to our experience as a whole. So I don't think we'll ever, replace that, but I think we'll be able to use this intelligence to be 10 steps ahead of our members, almost like the Four Seasons experience, where it's like, we've already thought of this for you before you've thought of it, that could be beneficial and supportive. And to really take this like white glove experience experience, but leverage technology to be able to do that so we can spend our time in that human interaction with those members at the end of the day. For those that are listening in, like one of the very distinct things that we do at Maison is I get on calls with every single member every single month. People are like, wait, how do you do that? I literally had a call with one of our members this week and she's like, I don't get how you stay so on top of like follow up with like either text or social or get on a call. Like I don't know what's happening with everybody. Okay?
Everybody.
So when thinking about our women in Maison, they are utilizing technology at scale. It's not just how can they replace tasks in their businesses, but how can they continue to grow efficiently, whether it's building their own products and own technology. And I think that needs to be a part 2 to this episode of like
absolutely.
what we have seen. And so as we close this episode, I just would love to hear from you on what's one thing that you're looking to like maybe explore or test with AI. I don't know, like over the next month or so.
So the thing that I'm actually really excited about right now is creating more templates for things that I do repeatedly and just finding that system where the way that I personally like to do certain things and how I like to see something, knowing that I can now have a co-pilot to really help me execute on that. And it's going to be made out of, my specifications and the way that I would think through it. That's what I'm really excited about. And just being able to see that technology continue to grow and just get better over time. That's really what I'm excited about. Now, I think the better question is, what am I afraid of? And there's definitely, I just continue to see where the lines can get really blurred between us losing our voices, losing our own thoughts and opinions, getting lazy, and, having just things be totally automated. Also, things with like image generation really freak me out. And I think, again, it always goes back to what I always say. This is why we need to stay informed versus being afraid. And the more that we leverage these tools and technologies, or at least like stay on top of what's going on, the more we'll be able to form an opinion about what those lines are so that we can help to drive, guardrails and policy and things as it relates to AI, because there's definitely things that only we can do as humans that make us so special that I don't want us to lose.
Yeah. Oh, I feel like this episode could honestly be a part 2. If you are listening to this, I would love to know from you, like, what other conversations do you want to hear as it relates to AI? What's of interest? Go ahead and send us a DM at Join Maison. We'd love to hear from you. So we'll see you on the next episode.
See you next time.